One of America's greatest treasures is its national parks. Millions of people from the U.S. and all over the world make the sacred journey to Yellowstone. The Great Smokies, the Everglades, the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and many more. We had the privilege to see these extraordinary places on the planet. See them in a unique way. From the air. Our journey begins as we move up America's east coast toward Acadia National Park, the second most visited park in the country. Today, Acadia National Park comprises 73 square miles along the coast of Maine. An area spread out over a large portion of Mount Desert Island, much of Isle aux Hautes, and a portion of the Schoodic Peninsula. The park gained federal status in 1916 and the designation of a national park in 1929. From the air, we see many of the park's landmark mountains and lakes. From right to left, Long Pond, Echo Lake, Somme Sound, Sargent Mountain, Jordan Pond, Eagle Lake, and the signature landmark of the park is Cadillac Mountain. Below is the historic town of Bar Harbor. The sandbar that leads to Bar Island. And the many coastal towns Mount Desert Island has to offer. As the plane heads south, the rocky coastline of the island's rugged west coast and Acadia National Park's Loop Road come into view. If you are lucky enough to be in the park during September and October, a dazzling display of fall color awaits you. We leave Acadia National Park heading southwest. Along the way, we pass over the metropolises of New York, Philadelphia, and the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Eventually crossing over the Appalachian Mountains, we begin our journey over the most visited park in the country, Great Smoky Mountains National Park. From Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, we board a helicopter. In 1926, Congress authorized the creation of a great national park in the East. A great national park east of the Mississippi River. A park in the southern Appalachian Mountains. A park that would contain the largest wilderness area east of the Mississippi River. A park that today covers over 500,000 acres of breathtaking beauty. The highest mountaintops in the Appalachians are contained in the Great Smokies. Below are the largest stands of old-growth forest in the eastern United States. And to crown it all, it encompasses one of the most biologically diverse ecosystems in the world. From the air, we can see the many primeval ridges and mountain peaks of the park. Below, the result of a destructive tornado can be seen. It is said of the section of the park called Cades Cove, seen here from the air. If it was a national park itself, it would be the third most visited park in the nation. It is a ghost community. Now all that remains of Cades Cove is a handful of historic buildings along the 11-mile one-way loop road. One last look at the amazing treetops below. We leave the Appalachians and fly across the southern forests and cities of Georgia, down to the southern tip of the Florida Peninsula. There is no place on the planet like the Everglades. It is where two great biomes of life meet. The tropical and the temperate mid-latitude ecosystems. It is where plants and animals from each coalesce to produce a subtropical tapestry of ecosystems that is unmatched anywhere in the world. Today, the park encompasses 2,400 square miles. 2,400 square miles of prime wetland wilderness. From the air, the most spectacular area of the park is a region called the 10,000 Islands. Below is a labyrinth of saltwater, mangroves, and islands. The Everglades River of Grass, the largest continuous stand of sawgrass in the world, is punctuated by what appears to be small ponds. Small ponds that are actually alligator holes. Holes that are dug by alligators. A storm on the horizon tells us it is time to turn back to the airport. We follow the slow, wide river that is the essence of Everglades National Park. From the Everglades, we begin our journey northward across the continent. We pass over New Orleans and the Mississippi Bayou. We follow the Mississippi north, cross over Minneapolis, St. Paul, and head for Voyageurs National Park in the northern boreal forest. At Voyageurs, we board a new mode of air transportation, a seaplane. Voyageurs National Park is part of the nation's largest pristine wilderness area. An area known as the Boundary Waters. Below is a land of rock, fresh water, and forest. An elemental land where the natural world speaks to the soul of man. A land where you can hear the haunting call of the loon. What we are looking at is the heart, the core of the North American continent. The rocks have been there since planet Earth first formed. Voyageurs is a water park. The waters are there because glaciers gouged out great depressions in the ancient rocks over the last 200,000 years. These depressions slowly flooded to create the spectacular Boundary Waters, Voyageurs National Park is a relatively new park. Established in 1975, it encompasses all or part of 4 major lakes and many small ones. Most impressive is what is called the Chain of Lakes, a narrow valley of interconnected lakes right in the middle of the park. The highlight of our trip is Kettle Falls and the famous Kettle Falls Hotel. Our pilot takes us down for a water landing in Anderson Bay. Where we see a stunning outcrop of granite cliffs. We take off and head back. One last look at the glacier-carved lakes of Voyageurs National Park. It is time to turn west over America's breadbasket, the Great Plains. Stretching before us are the endless fields of wheat, corn, and soybeans. It's the heartland of the country. As we reach the western edge of the Great Plains, we encounter Badlands National Park, located near South Dakota's Black Hills. This is the only region where our mode of air transportation is a hot air balloon. We find ourselves floating above barren, multi-hued crags. Cliffs and bluffs, spires, gullies, and ridges of sedimentary rock. These are America's foremost badlands. The Badlands of Badlands National Park. The geologic force shaping this dramatic landscape is the erosion of the 35-million-year-old White River Formation. A formation filled with fossil mammal bones. This almost 243,000-acre area transferred from monument status to a full-fledged national park in 1978. From the Badlands, we drift west to the Black Hills. In contrast to the Badlands, here is an area of rounded mountain peaks. Heavily forested landscapes. And open valleys where wildlife abounds. The Black Hills are rich in human history. A sacred place for the Sioux Nation. A place where the drama of General Armstrong Custer played out. A gold rush. And the infamous town of Deadwood, where Wild Bill Hickok lost his life. The Black Hills is also home to America's greatest iconic sculptures. Crazy Horse, and Mount Rushmore. It is time to move further west. The Black Hills are an outlier of a much larger mountain range. The Rocky Mountain chain is America's premier mountain range. It is home to 3 national parks. On the southern edge of the range is Rocky Mountain National Park. The park contains the greatest collection of 14ers in the lower 48. Mountains whose peaks extend past 14,000 feet above sea level. Established in 1915, 1/4 of the park is above tree line, and the Continental Divide cuts through its heart. Dividing it into dramatically different east and west ecosystems. We continue our journey to the next park located in the Rocky Mountains, Grand Teton National Park. Grand Teton National Park features the youngest mountain chain in the Rockies. And the most dramatic. Nothing is more spectacular than the glacier-carved features of the Grand Tetons. The plane departs from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Immediately below is the Snake River, beginning its long journey to the Pacific Ocean. Between the river and the Teton Mountain Range are numerous post-glacial features: moraines, kettle lakes, and the large glacial Lake Jackson. Like many other units in the national park system, the Grand Tetons held monument status until becoming a full-fledged park in 1950. There is nothing more impressive than circling America's greatest Matterhorns by air. Up close and personal with Cirques. Ice fields. And mountain glaciers. Heading north, we arrive at the last park in the Rocky Mountains, Glacier National Park, with its year-round snow-capped peaks. The Rocky Mountains were formed during a 25 million year period between 80 and 55 million years ago. An oceanic plate slipped under the North American plate at a shallow angle. As a result, the dramatically high and broad Rocky Mountain Range was formed further inland than any of the other great mountain ranges on the planet. Surrounded by flat prairie lands to the east and west, No place better typifies the essence of the Rocky Mountains than Glacier National Park. From the air, we can see that Glacier is all about the sheer massiveness of this section of the Rockies. The west side of the park is often shrouded in clouds and storms. Storms that provide water for the temperate rainforest below. Often referred to as the crown of the continent, Glacier encompasses 16,000 square miles of pristine wilderness. Mountain peaks punctuated by valleys, or as they are called locally, parks. One of the older units in the national park system, Glacier was established in 1910. Our journey continues west to the stunning Cascade Mountain Range, an area punctuated by spectacular volcanoes. We pass by the largest of these, Mount Rainier, home to Mount Rainier National Park. Set aside in 1899 as a park, Mount Rainier itself rises up to 14,410 feet above sea level. Snow-capped year-round, it is a small park containing only 368 square miles. Nevertheless, it is visited by approximately 2 million visitors each year. Traveling south, we can look back and see the greater chain of volcanoes, Mount Hood, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Rainier in the far distance. The Cascades eventually meet up with the Sierras, which contain our next destination. The Sierras, sometimes called the High Sierras or the Sierra Nevada Mountains, is a relatively narrow mountain range. It is the source for much of the water for the San Francisco and Los Angeles urban complexes. Its Mount Whitney, at 14,490 feet, is the tallest peak in the lower 48. But tucked away in this range is one of this country's most amazing, awe-inspiring wonders, Yosemite National Park. The birthplace of the national park system itself. From the airport, we travel over the dry foothills of the Western Sierras, the place of the famous California Gold Rush. Suddenly, we are among dramatic granite-domed mountain peaks. Glacier-carved valleys everywhere. Even glacial lakes and waterfalls. It is pure eye candy. Then there it is, the Great Valley itself, Yosemite Valley. Abraham Lincoln himself set aside this park during the Civil War in 1864. Today, the 1,169 square mile park receives over 4 million visitors a year. El Capitan, one of the two great Yosemite monoliths. With its two faces separated by its feature, dubbed the nose, lies out before us. At last, Half Dome, the most iconic feature in Yosemite. The 5,000-foot granite peak rises above the valley floor in one dramatic sweep of sheer rock. The climb to the top is a goal for many people from all walks of life. As we depart the park, we get a last look at its spectacular waterfalls. Further south, there is another park just off the edge of the Sierra Mountains, the largest national park in the lower 48, Death Valley. As our plane departs, we notice the altimeter is below zero, below sea level. No park from the air is more otherworldly than Death Valley National Park. The park is 140 miles long. Gaining park status in 1994, it comprises over 3,000 square miles. It contains the lowest point in the Western Hemisphere and the hottest place ever recorded in the world. As we travel north, we see towering bare rock mountain ranges on both sides. Now below us are the spectacular Mesquite Flat sand dunes. Perhaps the most stunning sights from the air are two relatively recent volcanic craters. The enormous Ubehebe crater and its smaller companion, Little Hebe. Unlike much of the Mojave Desert, the east side of Death Valley's floor is an artist's palette of color. Color derived from its many badlands. But what most people come to see in Death Valley are the massive gleaming white salt flats where the temperatures soar above 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Our next destination contains the greatest concentration of national parks in the world, the Colorado Plateau. This 130,000 square mile isolated block of red sediment, east of Death Valley National Park, takes up part of the states of Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. The park-worthy features of the plateau were shaped by the Colorado River and its many tributaries. The Colorado River begins its long journey to the sea in the Rocky Mountains. It enters the Colorado Plateau in western Colorado. And quickly moves into eastern Utah, where it enters Canyonlands National Park. Canyonlands National Park preserves one of the most weird, wonderful, and magical places on Earth. Off to the southeast is Monument Valley, a place of spectacular buttes held in trust by the Navajo Nation. Suddenly, the tributaries swell up with water. And we are over Lake Powell. Below is Glen Canyon Dam. Further downriver, we encounter another man-made lake on the far southwestern edge of the plateau. Lake Mead and its massive Hoover Dam. From Lake Mead, we circle around the Colorado Plateau in a clockwise fashion. First is Zion National Park, Utah's first national park. This 229 square mile park is known for its slot canyons cut by the East Fork of the Virgin River. Horseshoe-shaped amphitheaters cut into the eastern edge of the Paunsaugunt Plateau are rimmed by the multicolored orange, yellow, and white hoodoos of Bryce Canyon National Park, established in 1928. These colorful features are the product of freezing and thawing rather than water erosion. By passing over Capitol Reef National Park, another park dissected by the outlying tributaries of the Colorado River, we have come full circle. But this is not the end of our journey over the Colorado Plateau. What remains is the most spectacular feature of all, the Grand Canyon. Established in 1919, Grand Canyon National Park is the 15th oldest park in the system. The park's central feature is the Grand Canyon itself, a gorge of the Colorado River. A gorge which is considered one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. The park covers 1,900 square miles and is 227 miles long. Its depth varies from near a vertical mile, 5,280 feet, near the south rim, to its deepest at 6,000 vertical feet from river to rim further downriver. The width of the canyon varies from 10 to over 18 miles. From one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, we travel north to the granddaddy of all national parks, Yellowstone. Approaching Yellowstone from the south, the land rises dramatically into Yellowstone's youngest lava flow. The 70,000-year-old Pitchstone Plateau. The Pitchstone Plateau is one of 9 named plateaus in Yellowstone National Park. These plateaus make up the Greater Yellowstone Plateau. Even in the summer, the Pitchstone remains covered in snow. Snows that average over 50 feet per year. Below the snow is a vast area of unwooded lava, resembling, as more than one writer has described it, a moonscape. Contained within the Pitchstone Plateau are 2 of Yellowstone's treasures, Lewis Lake and Shoshone Lake, the 2nd largest lake in the park, and a lake that can only be reached by backpacking or canoe. Traveling further north is the 200,000-acre wilderness area known as Yellowstone Central Plateau. Surrounded by the park's Laurel Loop Road system, the Central Plateau Wilderness consists of a vast lodgepole pine forest. The Central Plateau, while devoid of high peaks, abounds in meadows, wildlife, thermal features, and rivers. Next, we encounter the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, a canyon that is a primary geologic feature of the park. It is roughly 20 miles long and contains a place where the Yellowstone River drops from the upper falls to the bottom of the lower falls, a distance greater than Niagara Falls. However, the reason the park was set aside in 1872 was because of its magnificent thermal features, its geysers and hot springs. From the air, the hot springs appear as shimmering blue pools of water surrounded by light-colored barren landscapes called thermal basins. What's exclusive to Yellowstone is its concentration of over 500 geysers. Thermal areas where superheated water periodically erupts into the air. The most famous is, of course, Old Faithful. A spectacular geyser that erupts like clockwork. The highlight of any aerial trip is a thermal feature that can only be truly appreciated from the air. A thermal feature known as the Grand Prismatic. The Grand Prismatic is the largest hot spring in the United States. The deep blue spring extends over an area approximately 250 by 300 feet and is 160 feet deep. The Grand Prismatic, if not the most unearthly, beautiful sight on the planet, has to be in the top 5. It is a sight worth savoring and remembering for a lifetime. One last look from this unique perspective at the great land, water, and mountains of this great country.